What is up, everybody? This is going to be Thursday review of Merritt Black's Apteros Intensive. We obviously have some other videos on it, so if you want to check those out, they're here. So anyways, his performance wasn't there. The last 2 days I was trading, but he redeemed himself as far as I can tell. I, however, didn't do as well as he did by any means. So this is my P&L during the time period Merritt was trading. These are all, again, very small, only $700 during the intensive session. I kept trading, so that's not how we ended. But again, the point of this video is I just want to kind of match and trade, you know, kind of see what my performance is benchmarked to his performance during the intensive. And then I also want to see how much of my system fits with his system, because my system is very, very different. My system is not NADRO. It is very much auction market theory. But again, another interesting day where a lot of... That's the thing, we've been kind of trading in a lot of the same area and hitting the same trade locations and having thinking almost the same directionally. So let's look at his plan. Guys, if you want to save $445 on the NADRO standalone, go to this link in my description, which will take you to this landing page. No longer do you need to use a coupon code. Come on right down. It's already got the savings in it for you, baked in. It's an exclusive landing page that Apteros made for me. And also what's exclusive is you can't buy any of the intensives on the normal Apteros website. You have to go to my landing page in order to get a hold of any of the prior intensives. You can actually buy the entire NADRO course with 5 intensives, which is a lot of case studies. So that's just more NADRO material, several hours and hours upon hours of NADRO material. And then you get to see Merritt do Q&A with other traders. So you can buy a full bundle with all of that. Or if you'd like the last 2 intensives, they're over here on the left. Back to the video. This was his initial plan in the morning. Cautious, go with strength. I believe he was looking on the long side. Big picture pullback, short scalp. Main narrative long with a pullback. So he was looking for a pullback. So he was kind of, and he did get short, and he nailed it in a really good spot. Let's actually look at his fills. Okay, so here's his trades. So obviously he was messing around in the morning. Don't really recall these trades as much. I remember I was going against him on some of these, and I was making money when he wasn't. But I'm looking at it differently, which will be explained here in a bit. But he caught this short, which I really wanted, but I fucking missed it, and he just squeezed the fuck out of it. And he did it on full size. And from what I recall, I believe he salvaged the entire week. So I want to talk about that for a second. Because, you know, the session, this has probably been the most lackluster intensive I've seen. But you got to understand that when people are streaming a trading session, you just really can't control the market conditions. Like yesterday, the volatility was just absolutely the most dog shit volatility I've seen in a very long time. So it's understandable how somebody's not going to perform that well in that environment. Because as a trader, you do need volatility. That's, if the fucking thing doesn't move, you don't make money. So not every session is going to be a knockout. A real key, that's the grind. I think it was been very insightful to see somebody have losing days. They're fine with it. And then they just remain confident in the system and fucking fix all their problems in one foul swoop. So, I mean, that's a lot of little red arrows up there where he was getting short. And the confidence in his voice when he did it and did it on full size, I just could tell that, because I have those moments, I could just tell that was just one of those trades you know is going to work. I had one of those, but it was in the afternoon, and I held it for almost 6 hours. Past the close, actually, which this is the only second time I've actually held something through a close. But that specific trade, I was very confident, and just everything was there. And there's a lot of similarities in his system where he needs to set up the line, because I'm using a lot of higher time frame shit as well. So I need a lot of alignment. I need a lot of expected value baked into a trade. And when everything is just meshed up just right and the price action's done what I need it to do, those trades are where the most confidence is. It's the trades where I know this is it. And I could just tell by the way he was speaking, he knew. You got to also understand this man has way more experience than me, has been in a professional environment, whereas I literally have traded out of a closet most of my career. So there's a big difference there. And his system is comprised of multiple time frames. And that multiple time frame analysis is massive. And I went through NADRO, October of 21, maybe. It had to have been 21. Yeah, I think it was October of 21. So, it was a lot to handle with the multiple time frame analysis. And I know his trading system very well, so like his trading system isn't something I'm not familiar with. Like, I understand the system. I understand how he gets the levels, but I don't, because I don't trade NADRO per se. I use narrative. I do use a form of rhythm like he does, which is the R in NADRO. And I use acceptance a lot. So I would say that's where some of the essence of the system is similar. But I'm not using market profile, yearlies, quarterlies, monthlies like he does. I use volume profile. I don't use deviation bands the way he does. But I understand the system pretty well. That honestly, seeing how he's been finessing it, because we have been in an environment where a lot of trades do come back, seeing the way he sort of scalps around his entries and trades it in this type of environment, it really reminds me of my own trading in a lot, because he knows when to press and hold He knows when to size up. He knows when to scalp. And it's very interesting because I feel, and we're hitting a lot of the same spots, even though the actual levels and my system is really different. So there's a lot of like, we're doing a lot of the same shit, and the way he needs all this higher time frame shit to align, and seeing the NADRO system still work. Because I'm going to be honest, he had a tweet about market dynamic shifting. I'm like, well, does that mean NADRO doesn't work anymore? No, it is. It definitely is. It most certainly is. You got to understand it's his system. You also got to understand with any trading system, you're not going to be able to just take it and make money. You know, he talks about how some of his students take a year to actually get it. And that's a year of hard work and dedication to the system. And I'm not just saying this shit because they want me to or any of that. They said they wanted me to do more content, obviously, but I can say whatever the fuck I want. But obviously it's a system that I bought it well before, a long time ago, and I did a review on it, in this video here. Go to the description if you want to see the actual review on it. And I stand by what I say. It really did turn my trading around quite a bit. And it's hard to pinpoint because in what way, since I don't really trade NADRO, I guess, like I said, when I learned about acceptance and rhythm, I think those concepts were like, dude, that makes fucking sense. And paying more attention to shit like that. But I wasn't really doing higher time frame analysis at the time I went through NADRO, so now that I actually do it, it's really starting to like, what he's doing is really making a fuckload more sense. There's more clarity. And I've said this about courses. You go through it, fuck with it for a while, come back 6 months later, and it'll be like, you'll hear things you never heard before and things, you learn new shit. So it just makes me feel confident, like I'm on the right track. You know what I mean? Like, my process and the way I'm thinking and finessing the market and leveraging higher time frames and looking for alignment, because I haven't really revisited his material in a long time, so I would say that it's been eye-opening. I almost kind of want to go through his material again, the NADRO course, which I started and then stopped. Because I know what I'm doing now works. For me, it's like kind of hard to go through material again. But I definitely want to comb through the parts where he's leveraging higher time frames again. That I'm going to do. Not necessarily because I want to trade this system, but I just want to hear his opinions and thoughts on how to make it all work. That's another thing that I'm not really talking about is the Q&A and just being able to converse with him. So many great so many great questions come through, and you get hearing a trader speak about trading and not just trading is very valuable. A lot of my popular videos are not just showing how to trade, but the actual talking about concepts and whatever, or just talking trading, not necessarily like showing trades. Those videos seem to do really well. So you do get that. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's a really it's a complete system. It's a complete system. When the market dynamic shifted and Merritt mentioned it on Twitter, I'm like, oh shit, system's not working anymore, huh? So, but it is. He's making it work, and it's a complete fucking system, A to Z, A to Z. Higher time frame analysis, and what's good about the intensives is watch, because they're just more case studies, right? If you just had a course or whatever, there's case studies in that, but that's all you got. That's a different year, right? So the market environment's different. So what's nice about these things is you get to see how a trader is adjusting for different environments. And more importantly, how he is just 100% about the system, nothing else. No changing, wavering from the system, none of that bullshit. He's 100% still trading what he's been preaching forever, and seeing it work for many years in a row, for him at least, right? You're going to be a different story. Seeing it work for him, it's like, okay, there's that. He clearly has edge. So, you know, I could never execute like he does, where he just looks at a fucking delta and not a dom or tape. That to me is just, that for me, I'm a fucking order flow junkie when it comes to dom and tape. He doesn't look at that shit. He doesn't look at the dom, at least, so I just couldn't execute the way he does. But he does mention in NADRO that you take it and make it your own. And what I've done is I've taken little components and, you know, made it my own. It helped me understand auction market theory better. Like curve maturity and all that shit. That's a term I use to this day, which I learned from him. Little things like that. Little things like that, and cutting a curve off and trading a prior curve, not a developing. And it's interesting how he leverages triggers, because I knew he used VWAP bands and all that, but I mean, there's a little more to it. There's obviously that trader intuition going into it, and just knowing a system inside out better than anybody else. And that is hard for anybody to teach in a system. That's something you need to develop. But seeing what he uses for triggers, because I also have triggers myself as well, but I look for pressure points too. So the essence of a trading system, really, and this could be a great video in the future, but really that, you know, higher time frame analysis for me is, I need it. And then coming down and then having it align, having triggers, places you're going to execute, and then leveraging the order flow in the trade. I don't necessarily want to execute because of order flow. I want to execute a specific area generally. And order flow is a very small component, which I've preached in other videos, and as well for him. You shouldn't be taking a shitload of emphasis on it. Although I'll admit, it's very important, especially the way I do it, from the way I handle it. But we're also both auction market theory guys, so like the way the market sort of ebbs and flows isn't as random as one would think. Like, from in my opinion, price action is not as random as one would think. Yes, there is an element of randomness, but why certain things are moving in certain ways does make sense. So I think it's really interesting. It's been eye-opening. You know, they invited me to this for free. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But now, like, we still have tomorrow, but for me, it's like, I kind of wish I could just listen to Merritt trade all day long. Because I mentioned this in another video, when you have another trader who you know has edge, and I understand his system. Like, I'll probably pull that up. Like, I understand his system. So that helps. So understanding his system and why his system works the way it does, and then knowing he has edge and listening to him trade, it just like inspires confidence in my own decisions. It's like just edge. So that's where what I really getting out of this intensive is like, just how good he is at trading. Sure, he had down days, I had up days, but he fucking hit a good one that I didn't even get. And it's not, by no means, it's not like a comparison, but I just think it goes to prove that if you're patient, the good trade will come, and you don't need to be up every day. You don't need to win every day. Professional poker players don't have this expectation to win every day. So, and just remaining cool, no problems, and then he got it. He got it. And, they say 10% of the time you make 90% of the money. And I got to say, from my own experience, that seems pretty true. So seeing a trader deal with really boring, grindy times is beneficial in its own right. Because if you're watching him crush it all the time in these fun environments, it does give you a false perception of what trading is. And seeing these really fucked up, brutal times, because that's when traders tend to get into a lot of trouble, is they overtrade really fucked environments. He got bloodied up a little bit, but not badly, and then just quits. And that's good to see. So let's sort of talk about my charts. So these are levels he had marked. This one, and this one. Why exactly, I don't really know. I don't remember. But for me, the very best trade, because he was kind of looking for a long, but he was also expecting a pullback. For me, I'm looking for a short. I'm 100% looking for a short. And it's based off this low node way up here. That to me is the best location to short. Excuse me. So that was my plan going in. Because we had mulled around in that low node quite a bit. Got a lot of sideways action in the overnight. Okay, so here's the open up here. Right in this section. We're banging around. And, it starts to kind of build a profile. A mature curve at that. Even though I could probably have roped in a lot of the overnight session, I could have extended this curve out. I didn't. But for the RTH, that was pretty mature. Right there. I hesitated on it a little bit. I hesitated and then it came in. I was looking for a pullback here or whatever. It never happened. And that's the best spot, period. That's exactly what I wanted. It happened so fucking fast. I was expecting it to go in a little deeper. Was willing to risk a hefty stop on it. Actually, I was willing to hit that on 12 lots, which I have not done a 12 lot trade in a good while. And it just ripped through. He nailed it. He greased it up in that section. Like I said, the confidence he had was, I knew. Like, for me, that was the best spot for him. For whatever reason. It was so good. He was willing to hit that shit on full size. So that is another interesting phenomenon. It's just these coincidences that I'm experiencing where we are really honing in on a lot of the same trade locations. Now, I was fucking fading him when he was getting long in some of these sections. And I was cash flowing a bit. And he wasn't really doing all that great. At least compared to me. Again, by no means is this a competition. This is a trader who's beyond my level, better than me, more experienced than I do. But for me, it's fun to benchmark my trading against his. You know what I mean? It's just fun. So it's by no means am I here to say I'm better than anybody or whatever. No. Right? I'm still developing. I'm not a professional, in my opinion. So I mean, you saw the entries. You can go back in the video to look. Then it just turned into a shit fest. Actually. I did have quite a few trades come back, so I guess I'll briefly talk about those. But he had quit. So this thing was channeling. I was getting long in some of these sections, and I was expecting it to push highs, and it didn't. It kept putting in lower highs, and then eventually it was just a channel. I knew what it was. Stepped away, took a nap. Market just kept marching down. Flushed, and then it was right around here is when I kind of woke up and got back online. And as you can see, the channel is breaking. In my opinion, this is all a stop run. A lot of pressure points. For me, I love seeing that. The thing is, timing it can be tricky. So, for me, I had to leave for the day. I wouldn't be able to finish the session. So I got long in this section. It was banging around in here. This is a rather large low node pocket. We're breaking the channel. The profile at the time has a P shape. So let's pull it. So the profile is P-shaped. I'll move this over. P-shaped profile at the time. That's what it looked like at the time of the entry. Also, the lows got cracked like 2 hours later after the open. So typically if I see a higher low, because that's a range essentially, and it's cracking, it's created a range and it's cracking it after, 2 hours. In my opinion, there's a high probability that if it comes back, it can go in. I don't have statistics on it. That's just speculation. But I've seen enough of these fucking things. And in conjunction with the stop run channel looking shit. Good chance it could go in. And even though I would have loved to have shorted all the way down here, there's a good chance it won't do that. Because it's really far away. And we just don't have those types of days that go that fucking far. Yes, we'll have our odds and ends days. But as I said in previous videos going over this week, reviewing the intensive, I believe that there's going to be a long and it's going to keep going. Like yesterday, I didn't really know what I wanted to do in yesterday's video. But now that we've reached a critical destination, I don't think it's going to just dump in. So for me, as it's rotating, this for me is it's breaking the channel. It's not just peeking out. It's clearly breaking the fucking channel. And then, you know, this low node over here is aligning with this low node. And for me, I love that. You can see right in there, they almost are racked up and aligning. That to me is multiple time frame alignment. So that was really good. Obviously pulling back into the deviation band as well, which had been rejected quite a bit. So what I would have loved to hit it on 8 lots, but what I elected to do was put it on 4 lots, bump out the stop to 24. And again, Merritts talked about how stops need to be adjusted in this intensive, and nobody, I swear to fuck, nobody talks about how to dynamically adjust stops. So most of us are running very fixed positions. Adjusting stops is very much a dark art. It's a skill set, and much like analyzing upside, you have to learn how to analyze that back end. And that's a skill a lot of retail traders not working on. And it's a skill I wish I would have worked on many fucking years ago. But now that I'm gaining more experience and knowing what holds are, knowing when a trade might fail, and knowing when to give something breathing room, I'm gaining that experience. I'm on year 7, guys. So this just goes to show you how long it really fucking takes. And these are like crucial skill sets. Like it took me years to figure out how to hold a trade, and then it took me years to size up and then move. It's just like there's faster ways to figure this shit out. But unfortunately, it just, that information is not organized. And it's not, and nobody's just goes over every little thing on a full trading system. And that's what I like about NADRO, because it's the most complete trading system for auction market theory, guys, which I clearly jive with. So, and when I did buy it in 21, I wasn't educating, seeking, but it was similar. And I know Merritt, I believe he's, if I'm not mistaken, dealing with just coaching students who are speaking NADRO language. So if you trade some fucking completely different system, I don't think he's going to really be able to help you. So, yeah. But anyways, so I put the 4 lots on, bump it out to 24 tick stop, because originally I'm willing to hit it on 8. I'm willing to risk losing 1,200. So 12 tick loss on 8 is 1,200. 24 tick loss on 4 lots is 1,200. So I'm doubling out the stop. I know the risk to reward is more than what the stop is. Actually, that trade was almost a full 6 hours. It was like 5 hours and 50 something minutes. The MAE was only 3. MFE was 67, pulled 34.50. So that was my biggest trade of really the week, I think. Just later day. I prefer later day trading. I wish Merritt would stream later in the session because for me there's more price action, so there's more expected value baked in to think, more stop runs baked in, more context in my opinion. Because in my opinion the RTH session it trumps all the other sessions. So you think there might be a setup on another time frame or whatever, but you have to play the game with RTH because ultimately fresh volume flows in at the open and then it leaves at the close. It's a whole, you got to play the RTH game, and once that fits with other time frames, it's good to go. And I just like later day trading because you have more stop runs set up and all that. I want to see him do later day streams. I think we should see the last 2 hours. So I'm talking to you guys, Ryan, because I know you're watching this. That's what I'd like to see. Suggest it, see what happens. I know other traders would too. But anyways, so we're running a bigger stop. I got to go take a shower. I have to leave town. I'm going to leave the computer on. Set a target, have the stops, whatever. I did babysit it slightly. So there was a plan with it. And here's how the stop does dynamically change. If it came in here and went down and I didn't get stopped up, and depending on how the price action cycled in this section, if it came back up in this section and I thought it would push again, I would add another 4, and then I bump the stop back up to 12. And then I'd hold it for the target, which was just above the high, like somewhere near the 88s. I don't remember exactly where I got out, but it was somewhere up in this section. I think a tick above the session's high, if I'm not mistaken. And then obviously it went, market closed, never came back, and then I got the drift. Didn't quite make it, drifted back, and then hit it. But it also, another thing that kind of really did give me confidence is, like, I have a lot of setups that do pan out in the overnight session. I've missed some amazing setups I've been stocking for many days due to the overnight session. And Merritt does talk about, I don't remember when he's talked about it, but I've heard it way back when. Auction market theory is not reliant on time. Whenever this auction processes are done, price moves, and it can happen in the overnight. A lot of the up move after the COVID, when COVID was recovering, was happening in the overnight. You can find this crazy overlay chart. And then somebody else linked an interesting article. So there's this interesting article. I'll link it in the description. Night moves is the overnight drift, the grandmother of all market anomalies. And I'll just briefly read this. Look, like, here you go. Overnight, full day, intraday. There's just an RTH session. Up until 2020. But look how the overnight... Oh, my hand's in the fucking way like a tard. Look how the overnight drifts, whereas RTH is... And time again, I've seen really insanely high risk reward, high EV trades just fucking go without me. And this is the second time I've held past close. This might become a more frequent thing. But with that aside, I held it. It came off. Probably the longest trade I've ever held in my entire life. So I guess we're breaking records. Not the most P&L, but it's the year of breaking records. So with that being said, Intensive has been interesting in a very esoteric way for me. I'm getting quite a bit out of it that my experience is going to be unique and different than anybody else's, especially going on to 7 years of trading. It's been a good experience so far. I'm excited to see what tomorrow has to offer, but until then, we'll see you in that next video. So have a good one.